Coming up on this edition of Two Right Turns, drone shows, fireworks, and flyovers. We're talking all things game day experience at Death Valley with Don Scott and Michael Marianos. Two Right Turns starts now.
They take those two right turns, and when they make the final turn, you can begin to hear the crowd and the noise of the open end of the stadium.
Here it is, the most exciting 25 seconds in college football.
Hello, everybody, and welcome inside Studio C of the Clemson Athletics Branding Institute for another edition of Two Right Turns, a Clemson football podcast. I'm your host for this episode, Ross Taylor, and today we're talking all things game day experience at Death Valley. So let's go around the room and meet today's guests.
I'm Don Scott. I am the Vice President for Entertainment and Marketing with Clemson Ventures.
And I'm Michael Marianos. I'm the Director of Entertainment with Clemson Ventures.
So before we get into learning about these guys' roles and what that means for the game day experience at Memorial Stadium, got to give a quick shout out, usually to the audience, but to our players right now who are worldwide. We have folks that are on a service trip in Australia. We've got members of our roster who are currently doing micro internships all across the country. More than a dozen who graduated last week. So big week for Clemson football, nationally and internationally. So shout out to all of our guys who are around the country and around the world right now. But bringing it back here locally on campus, a lot of times with our titles within Clemson Athletics, things can be perhaps vague or alphabet soupish, if you will. Tell us in a very real sense what your titles mean and what your day-to-day looks like.
Yeah, so basically we are in charge. One of the things that we're in charge of is the in-venue product that you see, whether it's activations, video boards. We always say for football, everything that is not what Coach Sweeney, Coach Allen, and Coach Morris call, that's what we do. And so we want to create the most engaging, immersive experience for our fans when they come to a game, so that when they leave, win or lose, they say, I can't wait to get back. When you layer that in with the success Coach Sweeney's had and Clemson football in general, it makes our jobs so much fun, and it's just why we want to get up and get out of bed in the morning.
Michael?
I think Don said it perfectly, but kind of everything that's not the game itself, we kind of touch on. We definitely have a bigger focus on, videos and what's on the video board, whether it's live video versus a hype video, music and kind of your in-game atmosphere, so to speak. That's kind of our big focus, but, we sit in the office and we talk concessions, we talk bathroom lines, we talk parking, all that type of stuff, but we're very focused on probably the technology piece to in-venue. It's not the game itself.
Well, and this is, as you can imagine, this is not something where for a 1 o'clock or, a noon kickoff, 1 o'clock kickoff or whatever, that you're walking in at 11:15 and picking up an old Magnavox remote and hitting the old power button. All right, let's do a football game today. I mean, walk us through what a game day looks like for you all.
Yeah, so here we are in mid-May, and we've already started. I mean, how many times have I asked you, talk to you, I cannot wait till Memorial Day around then so that we get those first 3 weeks of kickoff times, so that we know when we're playing Georgia Southern, we know when we're playing North Carolina. A noon game versus a 3:30 game versus a primetime game, they look so different. Now, really, the recipe is the same, but it's how we cook it is a little bit different. So, I mean, we've started right now. We've got our 7 games. We already did our game designations, but we're trying now we've got this massive whiteboard in our office of, all right, here are the 18 timeouts. Here's halftime and here's pregame. How's it going to look? And then it's a collaborative process as well. Michael and I and our team, but also you, DJ Gordon, Joe, everyone with the football creative team, we all come together to make this just unbelievable, immersive experience when it comes to what Clemson football looks like.
I think Don touched on it very well of kind of how we get to game week. And then when we get to game week, it depends if we're playing at noon or if we're playing at 8 p.m. And, if it's a noon game, we're probably there till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning Friday night. And we're back at between 5 and 6 a.m. For a noon kickoff. So we're there 6 hours before. We're doing walkthroughs 5 hours before the game, before the team arrives and things like that, so that once they show up, it's, hype music, letting them get in game mode. But if you got a night game, we're trying to do fancy stuff with the lights and that type of thing. And so we're there Monday to Friday after dark, making sure lights sync up the way we want, all the effects happen the way we want them to. And so, we're doing planning stuff out during the day, during the sunlight in the office, and then at night when the sun goes down, let's try it. Let's see how it works. Let's see what it looks like. We don't like it, run it back, 7-8 times. And then we're back, 7 hours before kickoff. So
can't practice lights in the day.
Can't. Yeah. We don't have a dome.
Tell us a little bit in our audience about your journey into sports and your journey into Clemson Athletics.
So I grew up in the 80s in North Carolina, the heart of Tobacco Road. So Michael Jordan and Danny Ford. I mean, Clemson had it going on in the 80s. I grew up a North Carolina fan. My entire family went there. So Clemson, was just beating North Carolina in football all the time. But there was this guy named Michael Jordan. I wanted to be the next Michael Jordan. I think we all did, my generation. Then we quickly realized we could not, but we wanted to stay in sports. So after college, I went to New York City and worked for Fox Sports and a company that did a lot of stuff with ESPN. And that's really where my philosophy for, what the fan experience, what I wanted it to look like. Now, that was a little different because it was more of the partner side and the TV side. So the end user was someone watching at home, but you're still in that fan experience mode. And then moved to Birmingham, Alabama, and lived there from 2007 into 2013. So Auburn and Alabama were in the national championship every year. It was a great time to be in the sports. Now, I was working for UAB in Sanford, but we were able to, just to draft off their coattails as well. People just wanted to be part of college football, and that's really where I was able to soak in all of the in-venue entertainment and take what I'd gotten in New York City and really focus on the fan that is, working Monday through Friday, and there's just so ready to come on Saturday and let loose and be a fan and be a fanatic. And that helped shape my philosophy. Was able to go back home to my hometown in North Carolina and work for Elon University. That was fantastic. I was so unbelievable happy with my wife, my kids. I was 2 minutes from my parents, 30 minutes from our in-laws. We were so happy. And then Notre Dame called out of nowhere. And so you just got to run that ground ball out, and was fortunate enough to get the Notre Dame job. And then, so during that, I was at Elon during COVID, but I also got my master's at Clemson during that period. And our youngest son, as he was really getting into sports, he had turned 7 in 2018, and there was this blonde quarterback that had long hair that was leading Clemson to a national championship. And a colleague of mine knew Lucas McKay, and we all know Lucas. And so he got cold tickets to come to a basketball game, and we kind of fell in love with this place. And when you layer that in with my master's degree, we kind of always had this dream of Clemson would be a great place to go to. And while I was at Notre Dame, the job opened here, and I was fortunate enough to get it. And I think my first day was the Monday before we played Georgia in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So that first year of 2024, I was drinking through the fire hose. But it's amazing. We love it here, and I've been fortunate enough. Everyone says they do game day better than anybody, and that can be true. Everyone's, prideful in their work, but no one has the tradition that Clemson and Notre Dame have. So to been able to be the stewards and help those along, I didn't build anything. The foundation was here way before me. It's going to be here way after. But to be able to work at two special places like that, been very fortunate.
And Michael, your story a little more homegrown?
Very much so. I'm a third-generation Clemson grad. 10th member of my family to graduate from Clemson. This was the place I always wanted to be at. Didn't really look anywhere else. I guess I applied to a couple schools just as I didn't think I'd get in, but thankfully did. I've only missed 2 home football games in my entire life, so this is kind of everything I knew. Actually, growing up, my goal was go to Clemson, graduate from Clemson, and then never leave. but I had no idea what never leave would mean, and actually had no intentions of working in sports. And this is kind of me not knowing everything behind the scenes of what's in this athletic department, but I knew there was an athletic director, a football coach, and neither of those were something I was about to do. And so I didn't know what the future would hold, but I knew I wanted to stay in the area. And so going into my junior year at Clemson, started as an intern, and had, like I said, no intentions of working in sports, and just kind of had some friends that persuaded me to do it. Fell in love with it, and other than a 2-month stint working for Daktronics, I actually got to help build the new video board we have at Death Valley. But other than those 2 months, I've never left Clemson Athletics since starting as an intern 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think back to my childhood, and I think some of us who end up in the lines of work that we're in maybe wired just a little bit differently, very much in the same mindset or line as fans, but maybe see it just from a little bit different perspective. I think of my own childhood away from football. Like my dad and I, growing up in Dallas, would sit on the top row at Reunion Arena at Dallas Stars games, and I'd be sitting there noticing it takes 82 nights video before the team comes out. And are they showing the camera shot of them coming down the tunnel to come on the ice? What song, is Joe Satriani as they were stepping onto the ice, Pantera when they score? All these little things of like the game day presentation that I was always just fascinated with. And I never knew if that was a universal experience or not. And I have to believe in your lines of work, were you all the same way? I mean, was there like a formative memory of game day experiences in your childhood that have just carried with you?
So that scoreboard at Reunion Arena is one of the seminal boards that Daktronics has ever created. It is so good. They were the first ones to put player points and fouls, and then for the Stars, penalty minutes, on the sides, and then to have the dot matrix board. So it's funny you mentioned that. I remember the 1986 Final Four and Duke and Louisville, and then watching that board. So yeah, we all had that moments. I wanted to be a sports information director. That's what we called it back then. So I would take media guides to the game. My dad would be like, "Can we please leave this at home?" It's like, no, because what happens if the last time someone ran a punt back? And then I also, I didn't want to write stories. I wanted to work on the scoreboard. So that sort of, like I said, changed that philosophy and got me into the TV side. So I would say, those mid-'80s of going to the games and being like, just what you said, Ross, like, why are they playing this song here? And okay, the band's coming out now, they're going to do this. Here comes the cheerleaders. Why does the team come out that way? So it always intrigued me. And then when you find out, hey, there's a career path in this, that brings everything together.
Yeah, I remember growing up, this is probably middle schoolish maybe, sitting in the stands in Death Valley, and we're on defense, place is going berserk, other team calls timeout, and it's like an unwritten rule in our department that silence is a bad thing. Sometimes it's great, but it's kind of that written rule there that, always got to have something going on, whether it's a video and a PA or music or whatnot. So
I hate silence.
He definitely does.
And you can ask anyone I've ever worked with, from Sanford, Elon, UAB here, I hate silence. And, Michael touched on that of why, of how long he's been here. Like, I leaned on him. Like I said, I was here 5 days before we played Georgia, 12 days before the home opener with Appalachian State. And then DJ Gordon, who's been here since day one of Coach Sweeney. You're going on, a decade. That first year, I needed to know what I could, and I don't want to say what I could and couldn't do, but what's going to hit. There's traditional things we have that we just can't change. We can maybe adapt and amplify it. We've been running down the hill for, since 1942, but that was because that's where Fike was, and still is. It was just the easiest way to get down. And then we build the west end zone, or the locker room in the west end zone. Well, we got to get around the hill, and so it's just those traditions evolve. But I needed Michael on that. On, hey, what can we do? What are our fans gonna? What are they gonna want and expect?
I thought about having 4 or 5 seconds of silence here and just staring at you just to see if you would fill it naturally, just to prove a point. But
he would. We would just start playing a song or something.
We'll elect not to do that. So I think you just touched on this a little bit, but I'd love to hear about it more. How do you blend the timelessness and the tradition that is a Clemson football experience at Memorial Stadium with continuing to innovate and add elements to make it better?
Yeah, it's a delicate balance. It really is, because our fans, they want that tradition, but also the landscape shifted. Everyone wants this just immersive game day experience. So you're not taking away from anything that we're doing. It's how do we amplify it? How do we add to a tradition? And let's say it's running down the hill. Okay, so in the past 2 years, we've added the smoke mines. Purple for Military Appreciation Day, orange for all of our other games. So we've added that, and you're never going to get everything right. It's hard to please 81,500 people. It really is. And if you try to, it's going to drive you mad. It's probably why I don't have any hair. But it's been, the fans, they like it. They're like, yeah, that is something we've added that to our tradition that now has evolved and become part of the tradition. And so what's next? How do we always continue to make the most exciting 25 seconds in college football the most exciting 25 seconds in college football? We're going to be always uniquely Clemson. I was alluding to that, a little bit. No one does the tradition like us. No one is just uniquely tuned in to our traditions. We don't wear black. You're going to wear an orange helmet and an orange jersey at home, and those white pants or those orange pants when we're going after a championship. No one does tradition like we do. But how do we continue to make it traditional in a modern world, in a modern landscape?
Well, and we have the benefit of having not only a very passionate fan base, but a fan base that's very convicted in the game day experience they want and desire and prefer. This is not a group that, doesn't care about what the game day experience looks like. They are very invested in it. And one of the things that was very quick as I got here from the NFL side, and this is a testament to this place and to, frankly, our customer base, if you will, that they do not want a pro sports experience here. Maybe there are certain elements that can be drawn and pulled into it, but this is a place where it matters that it is a Clemson experience and not just an average of 5 well-liked experiences from across the landscape. So saying that, this may be a either very easy or very hard to nail down answer. Overarching, what is your philosophy on what a Clemson game day experience should be?
Great question. We want it to be the most immersive, entertaining, engaging experience in the country. We want to be the envy and the talk of the industry. If we do 3 things, if we can entertain, if we can engage, and if we can drive emotion, that is a great day. Everything we look at is through that lens. Every single activation, there's probably 250 lines on our script. I mean, we have a script just like Coach Morris does of play calls. Everything we do, and certainly it's a business, and we have to, we have partners, and we want them to come into the Clemson brand and achieve their objectives. But everything we look at is this: if this entertains someone, our fans, if this engages our fan base, and if this drives emotion. I think of the Prisma Health kids captain of the game. There's not a dry in the house every week because of that Clemson fan base. We're not just finding, a child that is going through a rough patch. We're finding that Clemson story. These are all children that are wearing a Clemson football helmet or dressing up as a Clemson cheerleader because that's what they aspire to be. And when you bring them down to Death Valley, the best football stadium in America, pro and or college, that drives emotion, and people want that. They crave it along with the product on the field.
So those that have been able to talk to you before about you and your line of work, one thing they know, you were extremely well-read and plugged into the landscape nationally of what everybody else is doing, whether that be in college football or across the entire sports landscape. So for you, I mean, what is your process on viewing, engaging with, seeing everything going on around the landscape and drawing inspiration and ideas from that while also making it fit into expectations here locally?
We have an amazing group chat of the of our teammates. It is very active. I think right now with the NBA and the NHL playoffs, if you look at what the Spurs have brought back, the Fiesta and the T-shirts, so we're going through that, and it's okay. How do we make that Clemson? We were, in the past couple of weeks, what an amazing night we had in Death Valley with George Strait. How do we take the LED light show and then mold that? Is there a way to make that Clemson? And we've worked with that company before. Last year with the Florida State game, there were some band activations, and we did some with basketball and gymnastics.
Yeah, I think it was at the Purple event with gymnastics.
It was. So it's how do we find a way now to scale it out for Clemson football and 81,500 people? And something's right when Coach Sweeney is texting you being like, this is pretty cool. And so we take all of that and it's like, all right, how do we make it Clemson? Because we're not just going to rip something off and be like, oh, here it is. It goes into what we were talking about. It has to be uniquely Clemson. And that is where I lean on this guy all the time. And I'm like, you tell me, you've been to every football game since 1995. Is this going to fit, or how do we make it fit? And I think that's why he and I work so well together.
He brings a lot of ideas that we're like, yes, that's awesome. It's going to work at 99% of the schools. It won't work here because of this. If we change this one thing, it'll hit. We do that all the time. I think Twitter's probably our number one source for research of just seeing what other places do. Our group chat probably knows every single T-shirt giveaway, every different light show, drone show, you name it, that's happened in the country in the last 2 years. But we just see them on social media. I think Don's probably done 7 or 8 different site visits to different stadiums, different schools. I've done 3 or 4 just in the last year for games that we're not playing in, just to see how they did something. Or, I think Don loves to go and meet with our team from that school. I like to go and not tell anybody I'm there and kind of see it from what does the fan see. And he's seeing it behind the scenes. He's seeing how it works, all that stuff. And I'm just kind of seeing the end result. And in my opinion, that's how I see if I think it's worth actually bringing back here or not, is did it hit as a fan versus did it hit in the booth, where they're trying to produce it. So.
Since the late 1970s, Michael's Wholesale Flooring has been the Southeast's trusted source for high-quality carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl plank, and more, all at unbeatable wholesale pricing. Their expert team delivers top service, massive in-stock selection, and nationwide installation recommendations, making them a go-to flooring partner for homes and businesses alike. If you want quality, value, and customer care that's second to none, visit michaelsgreenville.com. You mentioned one of the ideas that came in was the idea of a drone show, and I don't want the results of the fourth quarter of that game to color was a really, really cool addition to the Memorial Stadium game day experience and the season opener this past year. I mean, what goes into something like adding a drone show at Death Valley?
Yeah, I go back to uniquely Clemson. A lot of people for a drone show, what they do is they'll work with the company. They just throw up the drones, put the helmet logo, a word mark, and then it's like, oh, it was cool. 500 drones lighting up the sky. We didn't want to do that. And so we have this unbelievable tradition of Coach B and the fourth quarter video. If we're going to do a drone show, how do we incorporate it and how do we amplify it? I mean, how many times have you guys heard me say just in this podcast, uniquely and amplify? And so we had with Joe and Brooks and Kyle Coulter, we had the storyboard of what this year's was going to look like. And then we worked with the drone show company on how do we tell the story of the fourth quarter video via drones. So it wasn't just the Tiger Paw and Go Clemson in the drone show. When that camera tilted up after the band and the Rally Cats had done Tiger Fanfare and Tiger Rag, and Michael turns the lights off and presses play on our Daktronic system, and that camera tilts up to Coach B, and he says Death Valley. Well, that's when Death Valley came up on the lights. And the championship trophies, when he says his famous quote about smooth hands, and then finishing with the fireworks show and then the helmet. We want to make sure that we are doing it better than everyone else. So that's how it works. Now, funny story about that is that Michael and I could not see the drone show from where we are in the stadium, and you're 2 booths down. We can't lean down in the upper deck and see far enough. So we're literally being like, is this working? And then everyone is like, this is amazing. It's working. And it was like, all right, well, we know we got 3 minutes and 5 seconds until we go back to play football.
I'm glad everybody said it looked good because we had no clue.
We were like,
couldn't tell you.
How many times?
The only flyovers I like are fighter jets because they're the only ones I can hear.
Yeah, we can't see flyovers either. So, and we love flyovers here. Trust me, Clemson loves them and Don Scott loves them.
I like fast-moving airplanes.
The overhang of the second deck looked good, though, as we were looking up at it.
But Ross, then you go, all right, so we've done a drone show. Now, how do we make it better? And I just want to leave it at that. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, and the comments are wide open, we should say.
They are.
Yeah.
Put your guesses in the comments.
So I want to go back to last year's Florida State game, which I thought was one of the truly one of the best testaments to the fan base that we have here and those who populate Memorial Stadium 7 Saturdays a year, where, at that point, Clemson was a 3-5 football team, needed a boost, needed a big time atmosphere and energy and effort from everybody. And man, did our fans deliver, and did that game day experience deliver. And part of that, I felt like y'all did some things that were a little different in the pregame. We'll run a little bit of video as we're talking, but tell us about what was new for that pregame, the idea behind it, and what it took to pull it off.
So we talked about working with CrowdSync and working with the band. So first of all, did we sleep those 10 days?
This is one of those games where we were here till midnight every night, Monday to Saturday.
You're able to do so many different things when it's a night game. And certainly LSU was a night game, but September, it's not night when the team's running down the hill. And it's not night at pregame. So we had this vision of a night game and really turning Death Valley into Dark Valley. And so we got it on Monday, 12 days before, with the 12-day hold. We knew it was a night game. And we kind of had some ideas that we had been working on, but we really went we really went to town with that. Worked with Tim Hurlburt and Mark Speed, who are our amazing director of bands and assistant director of bands, was able to light up the Tiger Paw with the Rally Cats, and then during the band's pregame show, light up Script Tigers, light up their Tiger Paw, the national anthem, and then when they formed the tunnel for the team to run down after 2 right turns.
You don't realize how big that paw is on the field till you're trying to put a light that makes the shape of that thing.
It was such a Clemson night. It was my favorite night my favorite day of being at Clemson, because we knew what was coming and we had practiced with the band and we had programmed the show out. But when it was time to actually turn the lights out and you're waiting on 81,500 people to see what the reaction was going to be, and when it was that initial gasp, but then just the loudness of the roar that they made to see Tigers lit up Script, to introduce the new fireworks that we did, what we're calling sort of the 21 gun salute. Y'all are in the locker room getting ready to board the buses to do 2 right turns. And I'm just thinking to myself, I hope they can hear this, because that's our job. Our job is to create energy for the fans, and that in turn creates energy for the guys. We want them to come out with their head on fire. And of course, y'all do that better than anybody. But if we can just add a little bit of a spark, and I think we did that sort of with our initial Dark Valley. It was just such a great night for Clemson, for the university, for our fans, for the team. And, selfishly, it was pretty neat when Coach Sweeney said, that was a great night. And the guys up there turning the lights out at touchdowns and the interest, it knows that it's not it's something that Coach Sweeney sees. It's something that the football program sees and appreciates what we do, because that's what we do it for, our fans and for them.
You talked about the different elements that go into it, and we'll even, I think, stay with the same game as we played a little bit more videos. I mean, the opportunities that the LED lights and the programming offer you for celebratory moments like touchdowns. I mean, you've got fireworks coming off the board. I mean, is there just like the 12-year-old boy inside of you that you guys get to become experts on pyrotechnics and fireworks?
I love blowing stuff up.
We were at our middle school awards banquet 2 days ago, and was fortunate enough to sit beside Justin Howell, one of our head gymnastics coaches, and our sons go to school together. And it was, as most middle school award banquets are, it was boring. And Justin looked at my wife, Tracy, and said, Tracy, he needs to blow something up here to get some energy back in. We love blowing stuff up. So we're throwing the 21-gun salute up right now. And that's Michael and I sitting down with Pyrotechnica, our fireworks company, and saying, hey, we want to amplify the Florida State game. This is what we're seeing around the country. This is what we think we can do on the West End Zone when we do this intro video for the stadium, for the Welcome to Death Valley. And then Dale Gilbert comes in that night and says, welcome to Death Valley. How do we work with our company, our lighting company, Musco, to create different light sequences? So when Cade comes in right here and scores a touchdown, what does it look like? Because right now he's in the southwest corner of the end zone. So we want to focus the lighting on the southwest end zone. So how do we work with Musco so that at a click of a button that Michael has, we can get this shot for everyone, for the stadium, for recruiting, for social media, for Cade himself? It's a business now. So this is something Cade can take from an NIL moment. This is something our fans want to see. And I'm looking at the scoreboard right now where it says touchdown. So we're working with different animation companies so that each year, or, you try to go like a 3-year program, but how do we make those seamlessly roll in to a touchdown from its fireworks, lighting, and LED displays?
Well, it's not all glitz and glamour that goes into this. And one thing I wanted to touch on that I think everyone in our fan base knows, and I think anybody who's experienced it, whether it's visiting teams, just random members of this group that we're about to talk about, or network rights holders that come in here, whoever it may be, I don't believe there's anybody in the country that does military appreciation better than Clemson. And the importance of Clemson's military history to this community, to this fan base, to this university. Patriotism is one of the core values of this university. Talk about what goes into putting on Military Appreciation Day, because this is not, we sell a couple of camo hats and play God Bless America at the end of the first quarter. I mean, this is truly honoring those who have served.
It's just, it's easy because it's Clemson. And I go back to every single student in the class of 1917 voluntarily enlisted for World War I. It's in our DNA. And this is not checking a box. We are honoring every single Clemson student that has served and those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. We have some amazing colleagues on campus in Clemson MVE, military veteran engagement, Trey Kennedy at Clemson Corps, that are constantly bringing us ideas because we want it every year better is not the right word, because this is not something you want to get better. This is something you want to get right, because of how we are honoring those that came before us and made the ultimate sacrifice. I do love that picture that Joe just put up in the bottom right corner. This year's flyover was amazing, in that the co-pilot of the C-130, he was a Clemson grad, and he was a former mascot. So he had his tiger paws with him in the plane. I mean, what a great shot that Blaze and Kyle were able to capture. Something that I'd been trying to do for a long time in a lot of different places. And I said, hey, Blaze, I think we can pull it off. Trey Kennedy's got a helicopter. You want to shoot it? And I don't think I got the question out. He was like, oh, I'm your guy. I'm your guy. And then once again, we didn't see it. You know, we're in the press box. It was like a second down. We were up 35-0 over Furman, and I just scream out in the booth, yes! And everyone looks at me like, what is he doing? And I'd gotten the text from Blaze being like, I got the shot. It was awesome.
You know, I don't love to use the word promotion for this one, but, you know, we talk about, you know, different promotional themes throughout the year. This is easily my favorite one at every sport that we do. I think we do everything right on this one. And a lot of that, you know, all the credit goes to military veterans engagement on campus and Clemson Corps. You know, our job, we're tasked with planning this stuff, coming up with these ideas, doing all this stuff. We let the people that know how to do this the right way kind of come up with the plan. We piece it together.
No one does it better than him, too. Like for Military Appreciation Day for football, I kind of get out of the way. And I know this is a football podcast, but, man, what he did with baseball for the Army series this year, I'm so glad this kid's on my team.
Yeah, that one it's always been a one-day thing over at baseball. We decided we want to do it the whole weekend. That was actually before we figured out we were playing Army West Point. And then as soon as that schedule came out, it was kind of a no-brainer. We got to do it that weekend. And kind of where we talked about how, like, Clemson does Military Appreciation Day right. Very rare that you see the Service Academy social medias posting about the other team doing this. And it wasn't one post. It was one post every inning when we did something. And so, you know, it felt good to know that we honored the people the way we were supposed to. And that it meant something to them to see it done the right way.
You can tell the importance to everyone involved, whether they have served or not. I think, I mean, people don't leave to go to the bathroom during this. People don't leave to go to concessions. People aren't getting pass outs. Like, everyone is staying, and it's truly like the only time you talk about can't stand silence. Like, that is the one time you can, because it is just stone silent in that place in reverence to what that moment means to this community.
You know, we like probably every athletic department, we interview GA candidates every year, and every candidate always asks, what's your favorite thing? And my answer is, you standing in a stadium with 80,000 people and it's dead silent. And I'm like, your first time here, if you get this job, you're going to be blown away. You're going to have no idea. And if you cry, we did the right thing. I've cried before knowing what's happening.
Too.
Yeah.
Like, we do this Monday through Friday, and you get to Saturday, and it's, man, if you don't cry, man,
seeing this on Thursday or Friday at band practice doesn't do it. You do it on Saturday, and yeah,
a little different.
And then there's some fun things we do with it as well. I mean, you want to talk about a small fraternity? How about men that have walked on the moon?
Yeah.
And we were able to have Charlie Duke come out last year. Like, those are just fun things as well that time. We've got sand from Omaha Beach that a gentleman brought us when he took his tiger rag out there. So it's once again, it goes back to, we talk about uniquely Clemson. Well, that's it.
Well, we showed the flyover of the C-130, and so I hope our audience will nerd out with this as much as I do. I mean, just the sheer amount of logistics. I mean, as pregame, pregame is not a like, well, around this time we'll start doing this, and maybe that'll take that. I mean, like, y'all have watched film of how long every single thing takes, of buses going around, team compiling at the hill. Like, y'all have timed everything down to the literal second, so much so that a C-130 coming in from across the country is hitting its mark at exactly the end of the national anthem. What goes into planning a pregame like that?
You got to have a real good pilot. No. So
talking about in your booth or in the C-130?
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that.
We know the exact second everything's going to happen.
But really, the C-130. Also, that was senior day as well.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of stuff on the field. It's communication. There's probably 35 people on headset and everyone knows their job. So the band had to speed up a little bit because we were behind. And look, we're always behind one way or another.
Especially on senior day.
Because of something. But with senior day, and we should be behind because we're going to do it right. So we were a little behind, but, man, you're able to be like, hey, band, I need 10 seconds. Well, they can play the national anthem. It should take them 120. They can play at 110 if they need. LSU, I needed them but minute 30. They got it out to a minute 30, and we got that amazing shot on ABC as well. That one I will blame on our friend Bill with ESPN. he was like, hey, I was a little late on that commercial. I was like, we got it. But yeah, we're down to a second, and then we know where we got to move. You probably can see it right there. There's a gentleman on the west end zone with a military radio. He is the one that actually has eyes on the pilot and is talking to them and is like, hey, I need you to speed up because, or I need you to slow down. And that's exactly, what they do on that. And then, you hit that mark. Unfortunately, I couldn't talk to Blaze that day, and that's why I was waiting. And we get to the second quarter, and he's like, yeah, I got it. And it's an amazing feeling when you can pull it off. There's I can't remember who took the picture. I think it was Dawson, but he was down at the bottom of the hill and was looking straight up, and it's got the plane on the video board as it's passing the video board. So it's that double shot. That was just an amazing photo as well. Just the coordination between it. And when you pull it off, and we pull it off, 99% of the time, and about the other 1%, no one really knows. Yeah. But yeah, it was a cool day.
When you're doing a game without a flyover, you're still going to get, ahead or behind a few seconds here or there at some point. But if there's no flyover, I think a lot of times we just kind of go boom, boom, boom between God Bless America, Pledge of Allegiance, National Anthem, Alma Mater, and then we kind of sit to wait on the intro video. If we're doing a flyover for the National Anthem, if we're ahead, there's a 2-second, 5-second delay between the pledge and I think it's God Bless America next. And then there's 3 or 4 seconds before we go to the alma mater. And there's these very small, we talk about we don't like silence. You don't notice it as a fan. Now that I'm saying this, you might say, Don might ask you to cut this out. But we have those little gaps. We just do a big gap at the end if there's no flyover. But thankfully, we've got the band at football games, and so we know the exact time that they're supposed to hit. Like he said, we can adjust it a little bit, but we're not relying on a singer that, it's probably harder for us to know if they're on track or not. And so that helps out a lot with flyovers.
And we've got 2 great PA announcers, and so if you're ever up in the booth, like you'll see me, hey, I need you to expand this, or I need you to go on that. But really, that's happening at 7, and you guys are leaving at 6. And so, like I said, it is down to the second because you guys are going to leave at 6. Takes you about a minute and 20 to get around 2 right turns. We want the entrance video to be about 140. That allows Coach Sweeney in bus 1 about 20 seconds to get off. Want him the minute he presses or the minute he touches Howard's Rock, we want the band to go right into Orange Bowl March. 50 seconds later, we blow that cannon. Tiger Rag, y'all come down. Takes 2 minutes. That's a minute 30, and that's when Dale's introducing the captains and the refs are playing that. That takes a minute. Got a 30-second countdown to kick off, and then let's go play football. I mean, as you said, Ross, we got this down to a second.
We want to take a minute to briefly dip into the mailbag presented by the South Carolina Department of Social Services. Learn more about public adoption in the state of South Carolina by visiting dss.sc.gov. And a quick thumbs up and a shout out to the Two Right Turns audience, as apparently we're told that referrals and more inquiries about public adoption in the state of South Carolina have been booming since they've joined the team here on Two Right Turns. So credit to Clemson fans for the impact they're making within our state. So let's go to the first question from the mailbag, and I want you to name your favorite game day environments or traditions outside of college football. So pro sports. Let's take college athletics, not just college football, out of it. Maybe go pro sports. Your favorite game day environments or traditions that stick out to you.
Wrigley Field when the Cubs win, and they play and sing "Go Cubs Go" while they raise the W flag at the scoreboard.
I think. Favorite environment for me, I'd never, like I kind of touched on a little bit earlier, like I knew nothing outside of Clemson athletics growing up. Like that was sports-wise, that's what I followed. And then we went up to play NC State in football 2-3 years ago. Men's soccer was playing the night before in Raleigh, and we were like, hey, we're going to go up Friday, go to soccer game, then go to football the next day. Realized Carolina Hurricanes were playing Thursday night, so we go up Thursday, go to the Canes game. We had so much fun, we did not go to soccer the next day. We went straight back to the Canes 2 nights in a row. That was my first time ever seeing hockey and getting that experience. And so I've got to say outside of college football is definitely professional hockey.
I don't know if it's the awareness of it or it's the technology involved or what. And obviously there are challenges that come along with it as the TV product continues to change and the requirements involved in making sure sponsors are getting their airtime and things like that. But I mean, does it feel like we're in a little bit of a golden age of game day environments and game day atmospheres right now?
I think it does, because kind of what you just alluded to, yeah, you got to get the sponsors in, but TV networks are coming back early because they've recognized how much time and importance the teams have put into the game day environment, and they want to show it. They want to showcase, like it's a huge part of us. You're talking about Red Hat. We get down to 30 seconds. It's go time now. We want to get the team and the crowd as fired up as they can, especially when we're on defense. So all of what are we doing on our play sheet to get the crowd going up, whether it's a bumper video, pyrotechnics, lights, the band, music, DJ Shay. That's what we're working on. So I'm glad you said that, because I really do feel that we're in that golden age, because people they want this immersive experience. It's par for the course now when they come to a game. It's not just watching the game.
We're in a very unique space here at Clemson. We're one of the few colleges that all our sponsorship stuff is in-house, and especially for us, my first boss when I started in this department was Mike Money. He now oversees our sponsorship activation with Clemson Ventures, and so he's looking at things from both lenses. What does the sponsor want? What benefits them? What benefits our partners? But also, what does our fans want? How do we create that game day experience that the fans want to see, and still tie in what the partners want? And so, we're very fortunate to have him looking at it from both sides instead of it being just straight up, hey, this is what the partners want.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because in the same way that I follow in a historic lineage of Bob Bradley and Tim Beret, y'all have followed in the lineage of John Cicada and Mike Money and Jacqueline Rowe, all of whom did an unbelievable job over the last many decades here at Clemson. So let's go into one more question. You said that you have the band doing the national anthem and y'all can adjust the timing or whatever, but let's say whoever we get a big donor that comes to Graham and says, all right, I want us to go get the best national anthem performance we can get. I'll write a check that'll fund the Tiger Band for the next 30 years as long as I get to declare one national anthem performer. Who are y'all going and getting?
George Strait. No.
What concerts do we need to sell tickets to?
Exactly. Man, that's a great one. You know,
we'll go Alive or Dead as well.
Oh, if we're going to do that, then I would probably go Jerry Garcia and Bob Weir.
Okay.
They did an amazing rendition at a San Francisco Giants game, and I'm a huge Deadhead. So selfishly, I would go with Jerry and Bob. I don't know if that would really fit for us. So I would probably go Billy Joel.
Okay.
Billy Joel.
Who has performed at Memorial Stadium before?
He has.
Yeah.
He has.
I'm going to be honest, I've never even considered thinking about this before. We're very fortunate here to have a bunch of different music groups on campus and a bunch of very talented students. And
student athletes.
Correct.
Huckabee.
Correct. And so we've never had to pay for an anthem singer ever. I think we had one student that had graduated that we really liked, we wanted to bring back, and we paid for some travel one time. But other than that, we've never had to pay for an anthem singer. It's always been, local students and whatnot that, want to be a part of the game day experience. So I really never had a thought. I couldn't tell you where to start here.
I mean, you go Whitney at the Super Bowl. I mean, that was.
Can I get Chris Stapleton or something? Yeah.
You might have set the bar high with Whitney Houston at Super Bowl 25 for the youngins that are listening to this podcast. So there are children of all ages in South Carolina who are in need of a forever home. Many are teens, siblings, or have complex medical needs. Public adoption through the South Carolina Department of Social Services can not only be life-changing for them, it can be life-changing for you too. When you provide stability, guidance, and support, you're giving a young person the foundation to succeed. Learn more about public adoption in South Carolina at dss.sc.gov. As we start to wrap up, I do want to circle back to the specific experience at Memorial Stadium in Death Valley. And let's say that you cannot include the most exciting 25 seconds in college football. You cannot include the hill run. What are your favorite moments, big or small, of the Clemson game day experience that really stand out to you? And I'll give you mine. For instance, is the Rage defense song that the defense plays. And my first year here was 2018. So it's early in the game. We've just kicked off. The place is going bananas, and then you've got our defense that we had in 2018 rolling out there, and that song, which is just like so tough and haunting to me. That's like, all right, we're here. And that just, it's not one of those that's going to end up in a big traditions book anywhere, but it just always felt like Clemson to me and still does. Do y'all have anything like that?
I think you got to go to the fourth quarter, but the entire 3 minutes and 5 seconds of our band playing Orange Bowl March, playing Sock It to 'Em, going into Tiger Rag, the Rally Cats with their choreographed dance, and then it's just the crowd noise just gets louder and louder as they anticipate the fourth quarter video. And it could be Game 7. They've seen it 6 times, and we've already put it on YouTube. They know it. But to have the crowd, say, I mean, they say Coach B's line.
Which is why I won't let anybody get rid of it.
And I was going to bring that up because of what you were talking about, is that you want that to stay in there. And you have to. We talk about traditions. We got to have that in there.
Yeah.
Somehow, whatever it's going to look like, we'll have that callback. So to me, it's that 3 minutes and 5 seconds between the third and the fourth quarter.
And then I'm going to interject here too. It's funny because it's crazy how much a certain music selection will somehow just become cemented just by reaction to it or the moments that happen that follow. I think back to 2022, and I believe that was the first year of the new video board. Is that
yes.
correct? 2022?
Yep.
And that NC State game, College Game Day was here, and it was a night game. The place was charged. You've got Saturday Night Football is here. You've got the fourth quarter video, and then Pursuit of Happiness drops, and the place goes insane. And it literally, Memorial Stadium was vibrating. And then several months later, in the ACC championship against North Carolina, going into the fourth quarter, Pursuit of Happiness plays, and you would have thought Bank of America Stadium was in zip code 29631. It's so funny how everything just becomes you become so attached to it, and it's just there's like this tactile, immediate feel of like, oh yeah, that's Clemson.
Same thing with the SMU game.
Yeah.
You put it on right in that fourth quarter, and we needed it then for those last 15 minutes. We work with the people at the ACC a lot, and we send them all of our assets, and they're like, wow, like not only do you guys get it, like you guys are really, really good. And that's not me and Michael. That's y'all from that standpoint when it comes to the amazing elite output that y'all have with the Clemson football creative team.
Michael, is there anything for you, big or small, that just connects with you for whatever reason?
I think if I look at it from the lens of a fan, kind of growing up before I got into this role, it was the tailgating scene at Clemson. People care more about their parking spot location than their seat location. And, my family included, we had tailgate practice the week before the season started. And, maybe probably shouldn't say this, who knows, everybody does it, went out there with hedge clippers, and they were cutting tree branches so you didn't hit your head, at their parking space. And people do that all over this town. And I think that's something that's very unique to here. You go to certain schools and they do this awesome, $1 million+ production for a big fan zone area pregame, and it's done really well. There's been plenty of conversations of should we do this here, and I think up to this point always kind of comes back to we could probably do it pretty cool, but our majority of our fans, they're not going to show up to it. They care about their essentially what I'm going to call a family reunion every Saturday in the spot that they've chosen, and I think that piece from a fan side is special to Clemson. It's kind of similar to Ole Miss, except big difference is you have your car. You're not all in a space that you can't really walk around in. Everybody's got room to spread out, but everybody kind of does their own thing. But it's a all day, honestly, it's a all weekend event. Cars rolling in at 6 a.m. for an 8 p.m. kickoff. And so I love that side. When I get to the job side, for me, there's something about when we get down the hill, there's 2 minutes or so before kickoff, and that anticipation right there of what's about to happen is something that's, I think, uniquely exciting. It's cool at home and on the road, but especially, when we're standing in Death Valley and, just kind of waiting for kickoff, it's kind of like for us, all right, we've done everything that, if there's a flyover or whatever it is, like we checked all those boxes, we're good. It's kind of just chill, easy at that point. Timeouts, we know how long they're going to be. They're not trying to time up an airplane coming in at hundreds of miles an hour. So it's kind of a sigh of relief, but also anticipation for the game.
If we can get y'all down the hill, we're in a good spot.
Yeah. Maybe it's after the first drive when I see that your stats are working on the board. That's probably better, but
yeah, you and me both, brother.
Yeah. And Ross, you said that it is for me also when we're talking about, hey, kind of joking, we get y'all down the hill, but when the team comes down the hill and then really it's led by our student body, but then it just cascades around to 81,000 people in Tiger Rag, the Clemson spell out, and then Spirit runs the flags out, man, if that doesn't get you,
and it sets the tone too, because you don't just hear it, you can feel it in your chest.
Mm-hmm. The LSU game, that was the loudest pop I've heard it on that.
My favorite is when we cut the band.
Yeah.
And there's no band underneath it.
Yeah, we call it rag drop, and it's just 100% crowd-made sound.
It has to be done at the right time. You kind of feel it out. Our band directors are great at that. We'll ask for it every once in a while, but for the most part, it's them calling it. And they do a really good job knowing when to use that and when not to.
Well, it's a little bit unfortunate because now I can't wait for it to be September. Just so excited to be back in the Valley.
We got some time though. Like,
Yeah.
let us finalize and formulate our plans.
We got a lot of planning.
Don't get me wrong. We got some things we need to do, but that's just completely re-energized excitement for our home slate for 2026. You guys have the floor. I mean, is there anything y'all want to say directly to Clemson fans?
Thank you. I mean, what you guys do. Not 7 times a year. It's however many games, but the 7 Saturdays that we have in Death Valley, gosh, you make our jobs so much fun. And quite, I don't want to say easy, because if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, but you make it so much fun, and we do it for y'all. That's why we're called entertainment now, but we were fan experience. We do it for y'all. We want to provide you with the best atmosphere, because we know how hard you work to come here, and then that just translate to the team and to give them that extra boost. It's why Michael and I got into that. So just thank you.
I know what this place means to me, and what the experiences that I've had kind of mean to me, and over the last couple of years, especially, like, I've had opportunities to talk to so many, especially students, that kind of grew up in similar backgrounds as me, growing up going to games and things like that. And once they realized what our job actually was, their answer was always thank you. And I'm not asking for the thank you, but it was it was noticing that we're making an impact on something that's not about us. That's been really cool to see. Makes it easy. I don't know if that was the right word or wrong word here, but makes it easy for us to come to work every day. And it's easy to stay here till midnight every night, the week before a game, knowing that we're attempting at least to create something that you're going to go home and tell everybody about for the next 6 months. And you're not saying we did it. You're saying I went to Death Valley and they did this really cool something.
It's not easy, but it is rewarding. It's worth it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for making the time. And this will wrap us up from Studio C of the Clemson Athletics Branding Institute. Make sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for new episodes of Two Right Turns.